And welcome back to Trekyards Mission Briefing, guys. Your weekly dose of Trek ship discussion goodness. And we are the hosts of that great show. I'm Commander Cockings.
And I'm Captain Foley.
That's totally not what I normally do for this intro. I'm trying to change things up, guys. But we look at ship stations, everything, discuss, theorise, and then get your feedback for future episode. What do we do today?
Hold on a second. Got him. There's a lot of insects floating around today. Anyway, today we're looking at a ship from Enterprise, from a race that, are kind of a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. The Xindi. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to look at the Xindi Insectoids, which it's squished.
Hey, look at the gorgeous, look at the gorgeous eagle moss. I mean, look how big this is as a model. It's
huge, man.
Yeah, this is like one of my favourite ones. In terms of detail, it's absolutely gorgeous. Love it. But we have the real 3D model used in the show to show you for this mission briefing. So again, no fan designs here, all the correct detail which you can enjoy. So quite interesting, different design. Do you remember the first time you saw it and your first impression back in season 3? The one that I remember you didn't really like as much. But talk us through it.
As I've said, I kind of tuned out for Enterprise. I'm rewatching it now, but I'm not up to the Xindi story arc yet. But yeah, I don't really remember seeing this ship ever, even now looking at it. So I really don't have my first views on it. I know I did watch a lot of the Xindi stuff when it first came out. I just didn't care. I just wasn't tuned into Enterprise, as it were. So I really can't tell you my first thoughts. I mean, looking at it now, it looks very Todd McFarlane, kind of like the devil from Spawn looking to me. With his horns and stuff. That's what I see.
So,
now you all do too.
So I guess you're going to have to comment down below, Stuart, when you watch it again and get your real first impression of this ship.
Well, this is my first impression now, kind of.
Well, from the show, I should say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I love season 3. I thought it was a great arc. I thought the introduction of all different alien races, all different ships was really interesting. Some of the designs are very interesting. We've already looked at the aquatic, we've already looked at the reptilian, and now this is the insectoid. All so different, and I love that. I really, really love that. So this, for me, I mean, those insectoids were very much, like you said, nuisances. Things you wanted to squash because they were powerful, they were strong. For me, and it doesn't show this in later on renders, spoilers, but for me, I always thought this was quite a small ship, not a fighter, but a sort of a very compact attack ship. It's going to come in, maybe in a swarm, attack you, and do some damage. It's actually a reasonably sized ship, but I mean, you can tell, I guess, with the windows, these little white dots, the windows. But I mean, just in terms of aggression, though, I mean, this is here to murder you. I mean, stabby. I mean, it's
yeah,
and it's very organic. Would you say?
It looks insectoid. It looks like the stinger of like some kind of scorpion or some kind of killer wasp. Like it's gonna get. That's the part that gets stuck in your skin and stays there. It's the stinger.
That's a great idea. Is there anything that really springs out to you on this picture straight away?
As you said, the scaling. I mean, I didn't think it was that big. I assume this is such a small ship. It looks like a 2 to 4 person fighter, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I mean,
it does look very tall.
I mean,
but yeah, now that you pointed out those windows, it's like, wow.
I think what really says to me about this design is what I suppose could be the bridge modules. First, the fact that it's split, which is interesting. But the fact that there's these blue glowing elements, there's 4 on each prong, and it was about saying if it was a fighter, then that could maybe easily be 2 cockpits, and there's an insectoid, leaning back, and they got dual, one's controlling weapons, one's controlling movement. But if that's the scale of the ship, that's a big window or armored area.
Yeah, exactly. It almost looks. It's even reminiscent of the Cylons from the new BSG. That kind of style of ship almost. I can see that. That's why I think immediately my brain says smaller ship.
Yeah, if you took out all the blue bits, combined that front hull, and even just took out that top spike, I mean, that'd be a really great Cylon ship. Yeah. What does your gut say about these glowing blue elements at the front? I mean, are they I. Mm,
They could be deflector parts, deflectors. They could combine with the blue glowy parts near the tips of the points to form some kind of energy weapon, much
mm,
like the species 8472. They go
mm,
into the middle and then shoot.
mm-hmm.
They could be a lot of things. Like
Mm.
there's so many possibilities when it comes to alien races, right? So
Yeah, we saw the ship a fair amount with weapons and things, but at the same time, we never really got a sense of the species as a whole. I know we got to see quite a lot of the hatchery part of the ship, and so we got a sense of the corridors and how much space. But I mean, maybe what it could be, because I mean they're trying to replicate in a sense the eyes of the Xindi, and it was just an insect. But what if that was like a really high organic armor, which protects the central, bits where you control the ship. But while it's an obvious target, hey, so is the bridge until the starship. But if they actually armored it up with another full layer of this sort of gel that hardens, it becomes this mega strong armor. Then maybe that's like the secure protection to keep the it safe. Maybe
it's interesting. Yeah, I like that too. But still, it could be a deflector.
very very much so.
Could be like the bug deflector that I have on my truck.
The next picture is a sort of a close-up side view, which sort of makes that top spike look even more menacing. I mean, that's just like stab. Yeah, and those windows. I mean, that's windows in the bot. Well, I mean, what way up is this ship? I mean, it could be. I like to think it's this way up.
I think it's that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't flow with the lines. It's probably that way up.
Yeah.
Which would make the windows. Well, I mean, whatever. It could be anything. But why even put windows on it at this point? I mean, it sets the scale obviously, but like to just have windows up on a spike next to a bluey bit, and then it seems like odd window placement.
Yeah, something I've never really considered. It is kind of odd.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe in the spikes they've got the gravity set so it actually pulls you against the spike, so you walk up, and that's just one long corridor. Maybe then
I was going to say, I mean,
rooms. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But beautiful model. I mean, just in terms of the detail and just how good it looks. It's very simple. There isn't much texturing, but it looks very. Yeah.
Very unique for sure. Let's go on to the next picture. This is a close up of one of the spikes. Yeah, I don't know. Like, where are the weapons on this thing? I would assume that some of those glowy bits are weapons or some kind of power generation.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, glowing represents something important, either engines or weapons or deflectors. I don't know. It's got to be something.
I mean, I love your 8472 idea. I'm not sure that obviously that advanced, but they're also organic. I mean,
just like species 8472.
And the thing about those top glowing elements is that they're textured the exact same way as the front bits. Does that imply that maybe there's a crew in each point with weapon control?
That's interesting. I don't know. You've got me stumped.
Hey. Awesome. The next picture, though, is a great after shot. And, I mean, seeing this in person, I mean, look at the cool, complexity of this aft. I mean, what is going on?
I don't know, but that center spike reminds me very much of the impeller drive on the Relativity. So some kind of maybe impeller technology for propulsion. I do like that look though. It does look very Insectoid with the different plating over. It also looks like a Camino, one of the Camino darts from Star Wars.
Well, the whole thing does. I mean, that's
yeah.
I guess we should go to Geonosis, shouldn't we? Damn it, Django, look at this. No, but another one thing the point looks like to me is that stinger from Voyager. You know, that creature that has the stinger that stabs out. I mean, it's kind of like a flower. Although, if you actually look at in detail at that top part, looking at actually on the physical model, I believe the way it's built, there are actually armor pieces that actually come out. Because if you look at the top one, there's that rim underneath.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's meant to flap back in. Because there is like a if you look direct, flat on, there is like these little pointy out bits in between that I think are meant to slide back in. So I think the whole thing compresses in. I'm not sure what that would do. Cause the armor's not exactly the section that needs armor. Maybe it's like they're meant to be extra impulse pods. Maybe if they were going on there.
Maybe it's very similar to a jet engine, where when you focus the nozzles in, it increases the speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you got a big nozzle, and you focus them in. If those move in towards the tip, it compresses out whatever energy source they have coming out, which would increase speed. I don't know. That would be cool.
Sure. The Radians, they're Radians that were in an expanse for their entire lifespan, so all the technology should be different. But it's interesting. You would never know that unless you actually have the 3D model and the physical model to look at it. And these are things that we find ourselves doing on Trekyards to really see. We need to talk to John Eves about this because this could be anything. Let's get him to flesh some stuff out. Let's get him.
This will be a great conversation with John Eves. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go on to the next picture, though.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, concept art.
Now this one is one that I picked out. It's sort of the in-between step. This is the original concept drawn and coloured before they got to the final version. You can see obviously scale next to a Borg sphere for some reason and the XO1. What do you think of this one?
I actually like this one better. You got 3 internal points instead of 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or maybe 4. You can't really tell from the picture.
True.
And I like the longer spikes and the much more scorpion-like kind of armor plating on them. I think that texturing looks a lot more Insectoid than the final version does.
Well, I think the difference being this is an Insectoid spaceship. That's an Insectoid creature. I think that's where I fall on that. Yeah, I agree with it. I mean, the amount of it looks like bone. I mean, that's or organic, structure. I mean, there's very, very. That looks like the sort of creature that you wouldn't want to lock onto your face and stab you. I mean, that is a nightmare creature.
Yeah.
Right there.
Absolutely.
And what do you think of like size? Because that's significantly longer, at least, lengthwise.
I think the size is fine. The center part, it's not very big. I mean, there's not a lot of room for crew, perhaps. So the crew wouldn't be, very, very large crew. But you do got these long, probably weapons, kind of. I don't know. I think that size is perfectly fine. I have no problem with that at all. I don't even. What is the size of the one we are looking at?
Oh, well, we'll see this one. But I know for me it's a little bit unwieldy. Well, actually, that might not be Borg sphere. That might be the Xindi, weapon. No, it wouldn't be. Cause they weren't that big though.
I know, but they looked like that. They had all those holes in it.
True. For me, this Xindi ship is too long and unwieldy. Like it looks as if those are too thin. They'd snap off. A breeze and it would cripple. Like it looks like a creature, but this looks way more like a spaceship.
Agreed. I think that's why they went with that for the final. But that's ape brain thinking to say that they look weak and spindly and they're going to break. Come on now.
The difference is though, ape brain for a spaceship, ape brain for a creature. I mean, there is certain limitations with creature organic. Like this is obviously representing an insectoidy thing. And so the ape brainness, well, it's like.
Well, this isn't supposed to be a ship. This is supposed to be like the Insectoids.
No, it is, but I mean, to be fair though, it could have been a grown creature. I mean, that would be interesting. I mean, hey, why not? Out of all the races that we see, I would think they're most likely to grow their ships. Then you're kind of getting to xenomorph territory there a little bit, which would be great. But anyway, the next picture is a shot of the ship at. What do they call it? Not interphasic rifts. It's some sort of so it's a rift. It's a clever rift. It's not warp. It's going through subspace. It's not slipstream. It's not transwarp. But it's supposedly a tunnel. But it's very fast. I remember they got to Earth in like a day. It's supposed to take 3 weeks at warp. So that's pretty advanced. I love that effect. That was a good looking slipstreamy thing.
Looks like it got a hold of some JJ tech and super fast tunnel.
Hey,
blue tunnel.
they're aliens. I'm fine with that.
I am too. Next. Okay, this is a fan done Orthos.
Length 120 meters, which is smaller than XO1 by quite a bit, which I believe is 215. It's been a while since I've done the show now, so I'm trying to remember the lengths of these things. Or because 150 is the Defiant, isn't it? Or is 150 the XO1? I can't remember. But we'll see in later pictures what the actual scale is.
Highly decentralized in layout, possessing no central control room, reflecting the non-hierarchical nature of the insectoid culture. Has pulse-firing particle cannons and torpedoes.
Yeah. And again, it's interesting, you look at the real model that we've had pictures of. This is why we love this show, going to this new generation of the show, because we're not looking at these pictures and saying, what do we think? We're looking at the real model, getting the real detail, and fans do a great job, but they've got things wrong. The shapes are different. I mean, this is far more, and this one I think looks far more like a fighter based on the scale.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. It looks
like something Batman would fly.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Nice one.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the next picture.
Yes, eavesdropping.
Full Orthos from Mr. Johnny. It's one of his droppings.
But look, it says Pierre's handcrafted surplus. So Pierre Droulet made the model. Beautiful model of Pierre. Does some absolutely phenomenal work on both Star Trek and BSG. Exquisite. So full Orthos. This sort of ship is difficult though because it's sort of it's the same sort of design.
Yeah.
So there's not much to really be gleaned. Although look at the front view for a second. How much like the head of an organic what's the 8-legged octopus? It kind of look like an octopusy sort of shape with eyes and that's very organic and kind of pretty actually. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
It's very non-aggressive from the front, but the side view is like, wow, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But
it's a great summarization of this ship. And another thing I didn't notice in the previous version, but there's actually blue glowing elements there. And again, is that impulse? I mean, I guess it doesn't have warp. You got to remember, this is not a warp capable ship. This is a rift capable ship. So wherever the deflector is, wherever the way it generates these things, it doesn't need to rely on the same technology. It hasn't got nacelles. It hasn't got, So
maybe that species A472 thing I said, where the points generate the stuff and send it to the middle. Maybe that's what creates the tunnel. It's maybe not a weapon. Maybe it's more of a generator of sorts.
Oh, so maybe all the outer glowy elements, they generate the field that encompasses the ship. So it's like multiple smaller elements rather than two big ones. Yeah. Hey, totally valid.
Sure, why not?
I like it. Cool. The next photo is, this is the one we've all been waiting for, a scale shot with the NX-01. Thoughts? Again,
bigger than I anticipated upon first seeing the ship. I do expect it to be small, fighter sized, or at the very least, like the length of one of the NX nacelles.
Yeah.
That size just, I don't know.
I think it did feel smaller to me also, and again, I think some shots Enterprise might have scaled it down. And I think about this ship is there's no actual elements that blink, so you can scale them up and down and not worry about the lights messing up. So they probably maybe made it smaller for some scenes. But again, these are the real models brought into the same scene. This is what would happen if you took the models fresh in while working on the show. This is the scale you would get. So you'd build shots standard-wise using this size formula. And I think it is certainly smaller, and it does feel smaller. And I think if they were zooming around, the fact they're so compact, it would get... I mean, you just put, 100 meters away from the ship and it's flying. Just that initial dimensionality, you'd say, oh, it's a smaller ship. I think it's just because it's side by side, it feels bigger.
And those windows, as it were, they don't necessarily look like windows to me. They could just be, just additional lighting. They don't say window to me because there's no other window placement on the ship. It just seems very odd.
They are about the right scale though, if a bit thin.
They are, but I get that they're probably windows, but at first glance I would never assume that those were windows. I would assume they're just part of the glowy bits that make it look cool,
Yeah, it's interesting though.
Right, so the next picture is all of the Xindi ships. We got the aquatic, the reptilian, and the insectoid in the middle.
And again, all the three real models. This is the scale that the Enterprise show used, and we're now thankful to actually have the aquatic. It's a beautiful, gorgeous model, and this makes you realize how small it is in comparison. This is because I believe remember a lot of the time you saw it flying with other reptilian. And that's why the scale felt so small. And we did a reptilian episode, and people said, "Hey, there's a shot from the show where it's so much smaller compared to the NX-01." Sure, but these are the base scale models, and this is exactly how I picture it. Remember from the show being this small compared to that ship. We never really get to see things fly next to each other, like an insect. And again, compared to the fleet, it would be.
Yeah, and like you said, compared to these two, it does look small, like the appropriate size for what I envisioned as well. It would be. It's almost a shame that we don't have like a size comparison with a ship that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Easier. Oh, look at that! There's an X button. Look at that, and it's the Connie. Whoa! Beside the Connie. Now, when you see this makes it feel way bigger than I thought initially.
And this is a picture you asked for specifically to give us a universal scale. Yeah, about the same size as the Connie saucer, obviously being very thin in some ways. I mean, it's very weird to see these two ships together, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like, you really don't see anything, even with a Connie, let alone organic, pointy ships. I mean, it really is a very complete opposition in terms of design style. I think it works,
but it's very cool to see. It's very cool to see.
I would love to. You're more than welcome. I think this makes me want to see like a Connie versus the the remnant of the Xindi military. The remnant, like you see a couple of these and a couple of aquatics and just a Connie flying between them. Like I think this could be really great because that's a beautiful Enterprise model. I mean that's the one from Intimo Darkly, absolutely gorgeous. Really up reses the standard. I mean I think they look comparable, like in terms of coolness.
Absolutely, yeah, they do. But then again, this makes the Xindi ship so much bigger than I anticipated initially. Because you think of the TOS ship and you think, all the adventures you've seen with the TOS crew, you think the Enterprise is, this big ship.
But then again, you've always got to remember, though, that with this ship, these are thin as anything. These are not big. I mean, there's not much physical space in this. I mean, again, with the Connie, that saucer is that big. If it didn't have a secondary hull, then it might look big, but there'll be almost no space in it.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, yeah. And from the top, those spikes do look like they're a substantial bulk of the ship, but then, when you could take into account how thin they are, it's like, oh, well, there's just that center part of the ship then, basically. So.
Cool. And the next picture is sort of it zooming away. Looks
Goodbye.
Cool.
We kicked your butt.
But we'll go back to the first one just to end off because it's just a great little front shot. So that is it for the Xindi Insectoid, whichever way up it is. I mean, closing thoughts on this. I kind of cool ship, I think.
It is cool. Yeah. And it's not like other ships that I've said, seem generic sci-fi. This doesn't really to me. It does say Xindi, something strange and definitely unique to Star Trek. So
something strange in the neighborhood.
Yes, there's something strange in the neighborhood.
Are you going to call NX-01? I was going Ghostbusters with that.
Oh my god. I was going Mr. Rogers and you're going Ghostbusters. Anyway,
interesting.
It does look very much like Todd McFarlane's Devil from Spawn. Google it. Google it, and you will see, everyone. So that's my thoughts. Pretty cool little ship, and not so little as we thought.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to know more. I'd love to see more. I think this is a ship that really we should bring some clarity to. But I was just impressed with all the Xindi ships. I think to have so many completely different stylistic things, and yet all Xindi as a concept was a great concept. I'd love to have seen more of them, and they would have been great to see in TNG and post. I think that would have been a natural, like, especially given how they basically genocidal war against the humans. Again, we talked about that before in our Xindi episode. And obviously now you're watching Enterprise, you can now, with this mission briefing under your belt and look at the real model, you can now go into the show with a whole new, I guess, first look. And you let us know. You put in the comments below what you thought of the scale in the actual show. I should go back and have a look too. And then is it... Like, it's always fascinating to see when they do change the scale of these ships. I mean, the Burrell is a famous one, the Defiant is a famous one. The Defiant flying against the Lakota. Those scales are completely out of whack. I mean, because they had to make it, against the Vorchar. That's not how you scale them. But they had to, otherwise the shot wouldn't work. The Defiant's a little moth compared to most ships. That's the whole point. So, these things had to change from shot to shot sometimes. So, it's interesting. And I think you would probably find it quite interesting to see it now in the show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up on my Xindi story arc and rewatching it and actually.
And we have a lot more Xindi ships to look at because we have pretty much the whole library at this point. And again, see these ships I've never seen them before in this sort of detail. So that is it for this week's Trekyards mission briefing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to support the show, please go to Patreon/Trekyards and give whatever you can. $10, $15, $100, $200, $1,000 per month. Go directly to us. Help us pay for our rent, our bills, stuff that lets us not have our other job, real job, so we can put time in just edit this show for you every single week. So please do, because we rely on those donations rather heavily. So thanks so much. Or one-time donation at trekyards.com. Until next week, I am Commander Coggins.
And I'm Captain Foley.
We will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bug off. Get out of here. Bug insect.